isn't on the floor.
It does. First of all, he just gives us some presence of physicality and potentially allows some other guys to be able to be more effective. And like any team, if you lose a good player, it removes margin. Not that we have any, but we've lost more man games thus far this season than any season in my career. And so we can't control it. And in truth, I think our guys have responded really well when Boots doesn't play, when Solo doesn't play, when Henry doesn't play against Iowa State. Like, just, I know coaches always say next man up, so I don't say it because everybody else says it. But our mentality towards, I think it's been 2 games that we've played with the whole group. I'm not talking about Jew, but the group minus Jew. So it does alter things.
When you look at the preseason accolades and everything that Wade got, which were deserved, is Henry as important or close to as important to Wade, to the recipe that y'all are?
I think that it doesn't mathematically make sense that our offense would be top 30 in the country today without our forwards. For sure, we need Ford to score at a borderline elite level. But so much of, and I know you study it, but we're not top 30 in the country in offense because we can shoot real well or we score it efficiently. There's a lot of other factors that are involved. And our group does know that recipe. And we're reliant on all of those guys. We're a different team when Boots doesn't play for the things that Boots contributes to the recipe. The same with Solo. The 2 games that we played in conference play so far without Solo, I think he provides something. Is it 4 only? No. 4 is very important, though. Is it Henry only? No. But Henry's very important. But I don't want to take away from what Andy's doing or what Solo does or what Boots does. It's the collective group and what they provide.
How do you try to coach it where, I know offensive rebounding obviously is a big priority for you guys, and defensively, it seems like every team you talk about limit their transition, make them slow down. Seems like those 2 things can kind of oppose each other in terms of sending guys to crash the glass and getting back in transition. How do you try to, find that middle ground?
I've learned from our group that, to be honest. Coach Popovich wants to be last in the NBA in offensive rebounding and first in points allowed in transition. So I've always tried to pay attention to smart coaches, and he's arguably one of the best ever. But during our tenure here, it's almost flipped. Like Arkansas scored 4 points in transition. And our defensive rebounding percentage was the highest it's ever been in Texas A&M history, 90%. On the flip side of that, we had the lowest turnover rate in Texas A&M history. We turned the ball over 2% of the time. So to answer your question, we don't want to give you any extra ones when you have the ball in hopes that we can score early. And then if we have the ball, we want to do everything we can not to give it to you because odds are you're going to score in transition. And then when we shoot, there's kind of a methodology to the rebounding part. But we've even, to Travis's question, is it 4? Yes. Is it Henry? Yes. And not to make it overly complicated, but we have a really good pulse for who's about to shoot and when they're about to shoot because of how we teach offensive rebounding. And that's kind of a byproduct of what we've learned. But we hope that we apply so much pressure on the offensive glass that if you don't commit to keeping us off of the offensive glass, then we're going to score on the offensive glass. And now you're taking it out of bounds, and hopefully our defense can get set. Even though I do agree with you, it seems almost like a paradox. You guys want to be really good in offensive rebounding, and you don't want to give up points in transition. Those seem to be on opposite ends of the spectrum. But I think as this has unfolded, probably towards the end of the NIT season, towards the end, but more so once we signed Julius, once Henry was going into his second year, once Andy was here, like we began to see that we had more forwards than we had ever had, and how can we best utilize those guys? And so in some regards, it's been really good for us.
Hey, Buzz, after the first LSU game, you expressed a concern about the effort and the energy. Are you satisfied with everything you've seen from those regards since then?
Was not satisfied with those 40 minutes at all. I thought we had great effort in the 40 minutes against Auburn. I thought we had great effort in the 45 minutes against Kentucky. I did not think we had great effort in the first 10 minutes, 12 minutes at Arkansas. So for round numbers, I would say of the 160 minutes that we've played, 110 of them have been representative of what we hope our program is to the institution and the department. But 50 minutes has not been that. And I was not expecting that, as I told you in conference game number 1. And then I think we solved it by the time we got to Auburn. I think that was clear by the time we played the following Saturday here against Kentucky. And I was caught off guard the first 10 minutes at Arkansas. But it was prevalent within everybody in the group that we weren't being who we had to be. I thought the last 30 minutes, I thought we were much better.
Yeah, and then I wanted to ask you if you felt like that is Boots still working his way into being, after having missed so much time, being that who you typically expect him to be?
Yeah, I mean, he played really good against Kentucky, and everybody was excited, including him. He did not play good at Arkansas, but even when he wasn't playing, or when Henry didn't play against Iowa State, Henry didn't play against Iowa State, and Boots didn't play against Iowa State, and we were down 21, as you know, with whatever it was, 2.5 minutes left to go in the first half, and Iowa State's a top 20 team in the net, so we do have experience without Boots. We were down, I think, 21, to Houston with 16 minutes to play without Boots, and had a chance. So of all of the choices, whoever you would say, we do need the guys with the most experience with us to be as consistent as possible. And I don't exclusively mean Boots. I mean anybody, because if you look at our volatility, we don't need guys to play perfect. We don't need guys to make a high percentage of their shots. We need them to be who we expect them to be in regards to their effort and their leadership, their togetherness, and what they provide. And that's Boots, and that's everybody. And we were not that against LSU at all. And we were not that the first 10 minutes in Fayetteville either.
First opportunity at a mirror opponent, what is it going to take to get a win this time around?
I think we were 9-1 last year in mirror opponent games. Is that right? Thanks for remembering.
We split with Arkansas, so.
So it's 9-1. Within the 18 conference game season, That's an eternity. And so we do kind of break it up, so to say. And 10 of those 18 are the mirror season. And then obviously there's 8 left, and 4 of those are at home, and 4 of those are on the road. And so we're 0-1 in a mirror against LSU, and we're 0-1 thus far against Arkansas in a mirror. And so within the mirror season, we haven't done very well. We for sure need to be much better in regards to where we failed on, I guess that was, what was that, January the 6th when we played them? They played so much harder than we did. They beat us on the offensive glass. They beat us on the defensive glass. They shot more balls than we did. They just, on the things that we think are important or the things that we want to hold ourselves accountable to, they were the example that day from start to finish. And so they've played great since then. I think they're 3-1. I think they lost at Auburn like we did. But we'll have to play significantly better, as you know, tomorrow than we did 2 Saturdays ago.
From an offensive perspective, the splits seem to indicate that some of the shooting, there at least could be a correlation between home and away and the way that y'all shoot. Is there enough data to say that there is that? And is there a way that you can, or is that something y'all addressed?
Yeah, there is some data to suggest that. I think the other thing you should study as you run that rabbit hole, defensively, there's some correlating numbers to that too. And so it's not a lot of data, it's only 2 games. But to your point, yes, you can look at that and go, I think it's this. And then you look on the other side of the ball and you're like, I don't know. So we need to make sure that our effort and our performance on the glass, which I think is a lot of effort, and our turnover rate, can we get those things squared? Defensive rebounding, offensive rebounding, everybody playing hard regardless of your name, regardless how many games you have played or not played. And then we don't need to give the ball to the other team. And if we can do that, then I think over time some of that data will probably guide us a little better.
And on the TV broadcast, they seem to indicate that Henry would be back for LSU. I'll just, because it was brought up on the TV broadcast, is there
Who called the game? I never listened to the games. I know.
I don't know if
I'm sure most coaches do, but
Dave
Neal?
and Johnson Bolt.
and so you know, because I respect you. I haven't ever said anything to anybody about any injuries, so I would say, so I abide by what I said in October. I would say they're just saying it because they want to say it.
Cool.
But I want to be respectful to them.
The guys seem to be very aware of this effort, that they either are giving or not in certain situations.
That's good.
How do you feel like you coach that then?
It's not a topic that you want to be talking about in mid-January. And in truth, it wasn't a topic the first 13 games of conference play, a non-conference. And so this has not been an ongoing problem. This has been a 12-day problem. And in the 12 days, it's happened twice. Our practices have been tremendous, regardless of the result of the game. But since the day after Labor Day through New Year's Day, energy, effort, attitude, appropriate emotion. I don't know when the last time I said that around here is. Year 1. I probably said it a lot during the COVID season. Not because they didn't care or didn't want to do good. It was just we were all living in Mars, and you know they couldn't come to my office. They couldn't go in the locker room. So all of those things that we kind of remember. So regardless of what plays LSU runs tomorrow, or what plays Arkansas ran, we didn't cover any Arkansas plays we're trying to solve this because this has to be priority number one, because any of the other things, if you don't take care of this, the other things probably aren't going to move the needle enough to overcome that, if that makes sense. Where's Brent? He quit?
Doing
Deadline.
Texans
The Texans
Wow.
playoff coverage.
Who do they play?
Ravens
Ravens, yeah.
in Baltimore.
Who else is playing? Packers. Coach LaFleur texted me. Who do they play?
They play the
Niners,
Niners.
right?
Yeah. Washington Redskin Mike Shanahan, young coach's guru game. All right, who else is playing?
Oh gosh, who else is
Lions and,
Once my team got out, I don't pay
Lions
as much
and
attention.
Bucks.
Lions and Bucks, that's right.
Games in Detroit.
in Detroit, yeah.
Sad.
They're just continuing to bury skeletons.
Yeah.
Good for coach. Who else?
Kansas City and Buffalo,
Yeah, that's,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Where's that game?
Buffalo.
Buffalo.
Bet it'll be cold there.
Probably not as cold as it was in Kansas City last week.
Yeah. The Buffalo Pittsburgh game, they had to delay a day because of the weather.
They're enlisting civilians to move snow in that game as well. Pretty
Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Coach Gephardt spent a lot of time. Most of his family's from there, so he's a big Buffalo Bills fan. And one of the managers, I've only had 3 4-year managers. All 3 of them are now in professional sports, and one of them is Coach McDermott's T.J. Ryan Lyle Wolf. And so we played in Buffalo in our second year, our second NCAA tournament at Tech, and took the kids to see the Bills facility. Coach McDermott had just got the job. Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you.